Welcome back. Let's in fact now bring you an interesting story that we've got from Tamil Nadu, where along the border with Andhra Pradesh, the state government decided to build a wall. Yes, just like United States wants a wall along the border with Mexico to stop the illegal immigrants, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh border was going to see one 7 feet high wall to stop people moving from one state to the other. That wall is now being brought down finally because of the coverage and attention and the questions that were raised through the day. But I want to go across to Pramod to get you more details about where this was happening and who really decided that this was a good idea. Pramod?
We're absolutely not sure why such divisive steps and decisions have been taken continuously by the state government authorities. We saw how it actually caused trouble in Madurai with pass issue, and then in Chennai with a sudden lockdown within a lockdown. And this one is at Vellore district and the area that is bordering Andhra and Vellore, very close to Chittoor also. The bigger problem here is that there is a very important prominent hospital called as CMC Hospital, which is at Vellore, and people from both districts actually rely on it. Also, like people from Andhra Pradesh also come to the area for various ailments and for seriously comorbid diseases. Also, people come over there for treatment, and that is what caused an issue. Around 6 a.m. in the morning, the wall, the people started building the wall, and it was quite surprising because they were actually building it across a road, and for that you are supposed to get a lot of permissions from various authorities, but we don't know exactly what happened. And suddenly, after everybody started asking questions whether even if it is legal, now the wall has been brought down, and the only explanation that is being provided is that Chittoor administration allegedly has not agreed with it, claiming that it's causing a lot of issues with a vehicle being traveling even for essential services, post which the wall has been brought down right now. Seriously, a lot of taxpayers' money is also being used in very unnecessary ways.
All right, Pramod, thanks so much for joining us and bringing us this story. Sometimes bizarre orders at somebody's behest really lead into these kind of developments. Absolutely not required, absolutely unnecessary. The two states could have simply sat down and resolved this issue, but look where it ended. Thanks, Pramod, for bringing us this story. Now, let's move on to the big conversation here at 9 p.m. tonight. One more time, we are going to put the spotlight on the migrants issue. Thousands and lakhs of people stranded away from home in states where they had moved to for work. But because there has been no work for the past 5 weeks, they have been stranded there without money and in some cases without shelter or food, facing lots of hardships on a daily basis. I want to bring to you 6 instances before we actually get to the core issue and show you just how heartbreaking the situation is in some places, just how desperate these migrants are to get back to home, to get back to their loved ones, the fact that they may not have any money and they just want to go home this way or that way. And so let's take you through some of these examples that we've got. 25 migrant laborers, including women and children, were actually caught in a truck, viewers, that had gone to supply essential items and was coming back and decided to ferry them back, hide them in a truck and take them back to Madhya Pradesh from the national capital, from Delhi. Again, this is another story from Delhi, where a group of migrant laborers from Bihar living in really bad conditions in slums of East Delhi urged the Bihar Chief Minister to make necessary arrangements for the return to the respective homes. But right now, Bihar has not taken any decision of bringing back their own people from other states. 38 migrant fishermen actually escaped from the state of Tamil Nadu. They escaped from the state of Tamil Nadu and reached Odisha via the sea route. This is the second such incident that has actually come to light just in the last 1 week. People escaping in a boat and rowing away to their home state. Unable to find a source of living, the fishermen had pooled in money, bought a boat and then covered a distance of about 1,000 kilometers to reach their home state. Here's a similar story of a 20-year-old migrant worker, Mahesh Jena, who actually cycled 1,700 kilometers from Maharashtra to reach his home state of Odisha. This is what is happening because we don't have a clear, consolidated policy of what has to be done with these people and how to take care of them. Now, individually, the state governments say that we are giving them food and shelter, but look at what's happening on ground and we are forgetting the human impact, the human aspect of it. Now, Uttar Pradesh has started to get back some of these people from neighboring states, cooperating and coordinating with other states, largely BJP governed states. So they've actually managed to get 12,000 migrants back from Haryana to their individual hometowns in Uttar Pradesh. Punjab has sent 60 buses to Rajasthan to bring back about 2,700 people. Odisha has actually started a registration portal for migrant workers, and they're individually working with all state governments to bring back their migrants. West Bengal has vowed to do the same. The chief minister has instructed the government officials to help them bring back. Maharashtra, though, keeps putting the onus on the center and keeps saying that we want the center to do something about it. And they've right now not managed to send anybody back home, at least in large numbers. Some have attempted to escape. Haryana is coordinating with Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Uttarakhand governments and using state roadways buses to ferry migrants home. Bihar says we don't have the resources, center has to do something about it, we can't bring the migrants back. Now what should we do? Shouldn't there be a central policy? Why is this being done on a case-to-case basis? And if it can be done on a case-to-case basis, why isn't everybody doing so? Let's say good evening to our panelists. First up, I want to go across to Mr. Nawab Malik, Maharashtra Minister, joining us right now. Mr. Malik, what's the solution for those who are stranded in Maharashtra? Many other states have managed to bring back home the migrants from other states, but Maharashtra hasn't sent anybody yet.
See, there is a guideline set up by the central government regarding migration of the migrant workers. Nobody is allowed to migrate. Interstate migration is totally not allowed as per the central guideline. But I think Uttar Pradesh or any other has violated the guideline of central government, which is set up by them, that nobody will allow to migrate from one state to other state, despite that things are happening. That's why we had demanded, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray has talked to center, if you are going to allow, give us a clear-cut guideline. If people are very eager to go to their hometowns, their villages, their own home, they are coming on the road. Some of the incidents happen in the state of Maharashtra. So Central is not giving any clear-cut guideline. It is there. It is truth. They have to decide. This is the guideline how you have to send people or bring people from the other state to their hometown. But till today, in the morning also, the discussion was there with PM, and there has been nothing. Decision has been made by the center. And we demanded you have to take a decision and make some special trains or any transport mode to send him back to whether it is UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh or West Bengal, Odisha, but not yet any guideline has been set up by the center.
That's true, Mr. Nawab Malik, but what we are given to understand, and this is how other states are doing it, they make a plan. The chief secretary then talks to the central government officials and they get it approved from the home ministry. That's how Uttar Pradesh has managed to get back 12,000 of its migrants from Haryana. That's how Rajasthan and Punjab are coordinating. I believe even Odisha is doing the same. In fact, we were given to understand that the Odisha government has already spoken to the Maharashtra government about getting some people back from Maharashtra. Odisha. So why is it that the Maharashtra government can't do the same?
The interstate laborers are not allowed as per the guideline is there. Within a state, near about 1 lakh sugar cane laborer has been migrated from one district to other district. They have been sent back to their own hometown, home villages. So this kind of 1 lakh laborers has been transferred to their homes. But interstate migration is not allowed as per the central guideline. Whether Mr. Yogi is just taking his own decision or center has given any special permission to the Uttar Pradesh, we don't know. But since many days we are asking the people, those who are stuck in Mumbai or Pune or Thane or many district places where they want to go to their hometown, their villages, are very much eager. So please give us the guideline how to send them back. But till today, no guideline has been set up by the center. As they decide any guideline, definitely we will be happy to send them back to their home. But till we are supplying them food, we have given them some areas shelter. some of the migrant workers were moving from Mumbai to their hometown, were stopped in Igatpuri, Nasik. Near about 600 people are there in Nasik. In many of the districts, we are having a shelter homes where people are living. We are supplying food, everything. As soon as the center decides that this is the guideline, they can move to their own villages or hometown. Definitely, we'll send them back.
Hmm. Okay, so Mr. Nawab Malik, meanwhile, there is a lot of issue obviously because these migrants are repeatedly saying that they don't have enough here, they don't have a job, they have no money, food is not enough. What do we do about that? Obviously, in Maharashtra, we have a large number of this migrant population, especially like you said, in cities like Mumbai, and so it is a difficult challenge. But there are reports that suggest that people are not getting enough food, and the living facilities are really pathetic.
See, ma'am, I can have to say something. Many of the laborers, they are staying in their own houses. They have taken rental premises. In city of Mumbai, many of the people they are staying, whether without family, 6, 7 member or 10 members staying in a room. So they are staying in their own room. Some of the laborers, those who are doesn't having this kind of a facility, may be staying at the various sites of their own company, and some of the different kind of a arrangement has been made. Shelters has been made by the state of Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai city. Daily we are providing cooked food of 6,50,000 per day to these laborers. But people are saying we don't want any food. We want to go to our hometown, our villages. So any center have to decide what kind of a guideline is there, how to send these people to their hometowns. To till today, there is no decision has been made by the center. As far as UP is concerned, I think they had violated the guideline. If any circular is there, any decision has been taken by the center or any permission has been given to the Uttar Pradesh government, they must send that kind of a circular to us also. We're ready to send them back.
Okay, let me also say good evening to Alok Avasthi of the BJP, Kovai Satyan, spokesperson for AIADMK, and Dr. Nasir Hussain, Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress Party. Mr. Alok Avasthi, do you want to respond to this? Because I'm a little confused. Uttar Pradesh is managing to get back migrants from so many other states. What about those who are stuck in Maharashtra?
देखिए, महाराष्ट्र सरकार से हमारी सरकार ने बात करी है और हम और जितने भी स्टेट्स हैं उनके लिए भी हमने नोडल अफसर बनाए, सीनियर आईएएस अफसर्स को, जो कि उन स्टेट से माइग्रेंट्स के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। हम आज भी 12,200 मजदूरों को लेकर के आए हैं हरियाणा से और उनको बाकायदा हमने मेडिकल चेकअप किया है, उनको 14 दिन के लिए क्वारंटाइन किया है। उस सब उनका बीच का खाना पीना, उनके स्वास्थ्य की देखभाल हम करेंगे। जिस समय हम उनको उनके घर भेजेंगे तब 1,000 रुपया और प्रति यूनिट उनको 5 किलो अनाज हम देकर के भेजेंगे, जिससे कि उनको अपने घर में जाने के बाद तुरंत जो है कोई दिक्कत ना हो। इसके बाद सरकार ने 15 लाख रोजगार उत्पन्न करने की आदेश दिए हैं। 5 लाख लोगों के लिए हम रोजगार उत्पन्न कर चुके हैं, जो कि 44,500 ग्राम पंचायतों के आधार पे हम इस समय काम उनको दे रहे हैं। और अभी हम करीब लाखों मीट्रिक टन जो है अनाज करीब 1.5 करोड़ परिवारों को हम दे चुके हैं उत्तर प्रदेश में फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट, और करीब 28.5 लाख श्रमिकों को 1,000 रुपया हमने दिया है। और ये एक बड़ी गंभीर समस्या है पूरे देश में श्रमिकों की।
नहीं, वो अवस्थी जी वो बहुत अच्छी बात है, और मैं ये मानूंगी कि उत्तर प्रदेश ने जहाँ पे गरीबों की बात है और जिनको ज़रूरत है उनकी बहुत मदद की है। पर अभी आपने सुना नवाब मलिक जी क्या कह रहे हैं। वो तो कह रहे हैं कि सेंटर की कोई गाइडलाइन ही नहीं है, तो उन्हें नहीं पता कि कैसे आप बाकी स्टेट से लोग वापस ला रहे हैं। तो ये बताइए, जो लाखों लोग उत्तर प्रदेश के मुंबई, पुणे जैसे, थाने जैसे शहरों में फंसे हैं, उनका क्या होगा?
देखिए, हम इसको फेज बाय फेज करेंगे। अभी जो जिनकी सीमाएं उत्तर प्रदेश से लगती है जिन राज्यों की, अभी हम वहां से अपनी बसेस से उनके उस स्टेट के बॉर्डर से लेकर के आ रहे हैं। और जहां तक कि जैसे महाराष्ट्र की बात है या वेस्ट बंगाल की बात है या आसाम की बात है, जो जिनके बीच में कई सारी स्टेट्स आती हैं, उनके बारे में हम सेकेंड फेज में हम जरूर विचार करेंगे। प्रधानमंत्री जी के सौजन्य से जो मुख्यमंत्रियों का जो मंत्रिमंडल बैठ रहा है इस समय, उसमें भी इस बारे में चर्चा हुई है। हम रास्ता निकाल रहे हैं और ये हम फेज बाय फेज लाएंगे। अभी जो जिनकी सीमाएं हमारे राज्य में नहीं है, अभी हमने उन राज्यों से आग्रह किया है कि आप उनको अपने यहाँ ही जो है एकोमोडेट करिए, उनको वहीं पे ही आप क्वारंटाइन रखिए, उनको वहीं पे आप खाना और पानी की व्यवस्था करिए।
Okay, Mr. Nawab Malik, then that perhaps seems that you need to push harder, obviously because of the distance between Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Perhaps roadways is not the solution. We will have to look at trains to ferry these migrants, isn't it?
जी मैम, अभी आलोक जी यहाँ बात कर रहे थे, थोड़ा मैं हिंदी में बताऊंगा कि जिस तरह से आप वापस ला रहे हैं,
जी,
आपके बगल का राज्य है बिहार, बोल रहा है इस तरह की कोई भी गाइडलाइन केंद्र ने नहीं बनाई। पूरे देश में इंटर स्टेट माइग्रेशन के लिए कोई भी गाइडलाइन नहीं है, तो उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए कौन सी ऐसी गाइडलाइन है वो देश के सामने रखे ना। अगर वो एक ऑर्डर इशू किया है केंद्र ने कि भाई ये है आदेश, इसके तहत हम लोगों को एक राज्य से दूसरे राज्य में ले जा रहे हैं, तो वो आदेश कम से कम दूसरों के सामने केंद्र को रखना चाहिए, उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार को रखना चाहिए कि ऐसा है कि देयर इज टू टाइप ऑफ पॉलिसी, वन पॉलिसी फॉर उत्तर प्रदेश एंड अदर पॉलिसीज आर फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द कंट्रीज। I think this is something confusing is there. So clear-cut guidelines should be there. Say he had allowed Uttar Pradesh to bring people from other states, but never center has said anything. And Mr. Yogi ji just sending the buses, some buses to the neighboring state and bringing back to the people, but there is no clear-cut guideline till today has been set up by the center, which is very much strange.
okay, no, I agree with you. There is no overarching guideline. So let me ask him that. But actually, UP is not the only state. Odisha also seems to be attempting the same thing. And I will have two more of our panelists weigh in on that. But अवस्थी जी बताइए जरा, महाराष्ट्र के नवाब मलिक जी आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कि ये किस रूल के अंडर आप कर रहे हैं, किससे परमिशन लेके, क्योंकि सेंटर का तो कोई ऑर्डर है नहीं इसके लिए।
देखिए, नवाब मलिक जी के साथ मैं पहले भी बैठ चुका हूं जब वो प्रवक्ता थे। वो मंत्री हैं, मैं उनको बधाई देता हूं। लेकिन सीधी सी बात ये आपने देखा होगा, इसके पहले कुछ समय पहले दिल्ली की सीमा पे लाखों मजदूर जो है दिल्ली सरकार की नादानी की वजह से आ गए थे। हमने करीब 6 लाख माइग्रेंट्स को वहां पर उसमें बसों को करीब 11,000 बसें यूपी सरकार ने लगाई थी। हमने उनको ऐसा नहीं सीधे घर भेज दिया, हमने हर व्यक्ति को पहले क्वारंटाइन किया, उसका मेडिकली जांच किया और उसमें आपको बताना चाहता हूँ उसमें कोई भी मजदूर पॉजिटिव नहीं निकला है। और हम जो अभी मजदूर हरियाणा से लेकर के आए हैं, हम उन्हीं को लेकर के आ रहे हैं जो 14 दिन से वहां पे हरियाणा में क्वारंटाइन पहले से हैं। उनकी पहले हम मेडिकल जांच वहीं पर कर रहे हैं हरियाणा में, उसके बाद फिर हम उनको यहाँ पर जब लेकर के आ रहे हैं, फिर से हम 14 दिन का यहाँ पे क्वारंटाइन करेंगे, उनकी जांच करेंगे। हम किसी भी मजदूर को सीधे वहां उठा करके सीधे घर पर नहीं भेज रहे हैं। इस बात की सरकार जिम्मेदारी ले रही है कि हम किसी भी कोरोना पॉजिटिव को हम डायरेक्ट कहीं पे भी पब्लिक के कांटेक्ट में नहीं आने दे रहे हैं। अभी 10,500 बच्चों को हम कोटा में, क्योंकि राजस्थान सरकार वहां पे व्यवस्था नहीं कर पा रही थी, वहां पर सुनने में आया कि 3-4 बच्चों ने आत्महत्या भी करी है। लेकिन हमारी सरकार ने तय किया कि हम बच्चों को अपने, अगर वो वहां पे घबरा रहे हैं और वहां सरकार उनका इंतजाम करने में असमर्थ है, तो हमने वहां पे भी पूरी व्यवस्था से उनको ठीक से लाए हैं। बसों में बराबर गैप किया है, साथ में सैनिटाइजर भेजा है, डॉक्टर्स की टीम भेजी है और यहाँ पर भी ला करके हमने उनको क्वारंटाइन करके पहले उनका डॉक्टरी परीक्षण किया है और 14 दिन के लिए बच्चे सारे क्वारंटाइन है। तो अगर ये व्यवस्था से बाकी सरकारें भी काम करना चाहें तो कर सकती है। हमने उसका सफल एक परीक्षण किया है।
नहीं, लेकिन आप इसके लिए क्या सेंटर से परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है? एवरी टाइम दैट यू ब्रिंग बैक माइग्रेंट्स फ्रॉम अनदर स्टेट, डू यू टेक परमिशन फ्रॉम द होम मिनिस्ट्री?
नहीं, कौन सा आदेश है? बाकी
एग्जैक्टली
उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए अलग आदेश है, ये बताइए ना देश को कि ये आदेश केंद्र ने निकाला, हमारे लिए अलग से, बाकी राज्यों के लिए क्यों आदेश नहीं निकाला जा रहा है?
देखिए, केंद्र के आदेश जो होते हैं उसका सरकार बराबर पालन कर रही है। ये मानवता की दृष्टि से जिस तरह की दुर्गति उत्तर प्रदेश के मजदूरों की अन्य प्रदेशों में हो रही थी, अभी आपने ही बांद्रा में वहां मस्जिद के पास इतने लोगों को इकट्ठा हो गए, वहां पे एक झूठी अफवाह के कारण आप खुद देख सकते हैं कि वहां पर जो उनका बाद में मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स आई हैं, किस बुरी तरीके से वहां पर भारत सरकार उनकी देखभाल नहीं कर रही है और किस तरीके से वो रह रहे हैं, उनकी खाने पीने की व्यवस्था नहीं, पीने की व्यवस्था नहीं, उन्होंने मीडिया में आकर के बयान दिया है। तो इस तरीके से हमारी मजबूरी है कि हम दूसरी स्टेट से हम नहीं ला सकते जो दूर स्टेट्स हैं, लेकिन जो हमारी सीमा पर मजदूर आ गए हैं हम उनको लाने की व्यवस्था सुचारू रूप से बाकायदा मेडिकल गाइडेंस के उनको क्वारंटाइन करते हुए
Okay.
उनको सैनिटाइज करते हुए हम
मुझे
देख करके आ रहे हैं।
ठीक है, मुझे लगता है कि मुझे और अवस्थी जी, मुझे लगता है कि मुझे और नवाब मलिक जी को इस चीज़ का जवाब तो मिल नहीं रहा है. मिस्टर नवाब मलिक, you and I are trying to find the answer to the same question, but I think there is some solution because some of the other states are also doing, and we were given to understand that individually these states are actually approaching the Home Ministry and getting an approval on their plan. Now, whether your government gets it or doesn't get it could be a different matter altogether that you need to look into. But thank you for joining us. I want to bring in Dr. Nasir Hussain also on this issue. Dr. Nasir Hussain, do you agree with what Nawab Malik was also saying, and I started off with, that maybe there needs to be a larger comprehensive center policy? It can't be just left to some kind of an understanding between neighboring states on ferrying of migrants from one place to the other.
Yeah, I think every state needs to ask the central government as to why the Disaster Management Act of 2005 has not been activated, why there is no national plan, why there is no state plan, why there is no district plan. This is a must according to the Disaster Management Act of 2005. What has happened to the standards that were laid down by the Act, that there should be minimum standards in relief camps, shelter, water, medical cover, sanitation, etc. What has happened to the disaster response fund that had to be created? Why is the Prime Minister gone and created a PM CARES fund rather than creating a response fund according to the Disaster Management Act of 2005? Why is there no plan by the center? Why is the central government selectively allowing this BJP ruled states like Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat to ferry their migrant laborer from different states? Why are they not allowing the other states? These are some of the important questions that have to be asked to the central government, because the whole country is standing in unison with the government. We in the Congress party have made it very clear. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has made it very clear time and again that Congress party is standing with the central government, but for the positive criticism that has to be done by the opposition party, we are going to do that. We are going to remind the central government as to what has to be done. Disaster Management Act was adopted by the country, was adopted by the parliament, specifically for the disasters what we are facing now. You have left the migrant workers on the migrant workers on the roads. Even now, even till today, it is almost more than a month since the lockdown has been announced. There is not even a single plan, either at the state or the national or the district level, as to how to be dealt with the migrant workers. Now, I think this is one important thing which we have been raising. The government has to be sympathetic towards the migrants, that these people should be either allowed to go to their home state, or their jobs has to be ensured to them, and it should also see that the state governments and at the district level, the district authorities, they have a specific plan in place for these migrant workers, and everything right from the sanitation, hygiene, their food, their medical facilities, their minimum standards in the relief camps, everything is ensured for them.
Okay, let me also ask Kovai Satyan, who's been patiently waiting by. Thank you for that. Kovai, has the Tamil Nadu government made any attempts to reach out and ask the center if there is a plan to send migrants home? Tamil Nadu also has a significant number of people from other states who are currently stranded there.
There is a basic difference between how Tamil Nadu government had acted with respect to the other states. Since the norm is not to travel, that's a norm till May 3rd as per the Prime Minister's statement. And yes, the movement of people from one location to another not only put their lives into risk, but also a whole community or a whole state and a whole nation into risk. So these are all the parameters which every state falls in line now. But what our government has done is we have a database of the migrant population. 134 has been identified, and they are being housed at different zonal offices. Our flagship program by our erstwhile leader Poruchi Thalavi Amma, the Amma canteens, now almost cater 3 million meal a day. So now it is getting expanded to all the other locations, wherein a meal is given free. Breakfast, lunch, dinner is being given free to anybody who wants to have food there. So we have ensured that the food reaches to the needy ones, not only the migrant population, but the ones who have lost their jobs or who are stranded, or who doesn't have means and ways to meet out their ends. So this is one unique thing which the state has done. But nonetheless, while there is a clarity for milk to travel from Kerala to Delhi, but there is no such clarity when different states are being involved. Predominantly, majority of the migrants are here from the northeast, wherein you need to travel through 4 to 5 states to reach your destination. So as such, there is no clarity of transfer of people from one place to another. So having got the highest number of COVID cases a couple of weeks back, and majority of 24 districts are being categorized as red zone. It is pretty much difficult for the government to take a call on uh, uh, now to let the people move from one location to another. All the best. What we could do is we are taking care of them with giving them proper accommodation and food.
Yes, but then what's happening are also instances because people are getting desperate, Kovai. We had an instance just today where a set of people set out on a boat and went all the way to Odisha from Tamil Nadu because they wanted to get home or get away and get back home. Now, obviously, that becomes a challenge for the state as well. So, why not seek a solution with the center? Some of the other states like Uttar Pradesh clearly are doing that. Odisha is doing it. Odisha started a portal for registration of migrants in other states so that they can be brought home.
See, the need of the hour is to start the economic activity and ensure that you restore the confidence of the people who have lost their jobs, and particularly these migrant population, which predominantly belong to the so-called unskilled category. So the best thing what they are thinking right now is if they go back to their home, at least they'll have some square meal. Food will be guaranteed for them. But this government has guaranteed that, so there is not that much of an unrest with respect to the state of Tamil Nadu when it comes to migrant population. Yes, there are some strange and stray cases wherein people try to leave to Maharashtra in a truck by tipping the driver. And there was one case, like you mentioned, that people took the route of sea to reach to a destination. Last week, there was one such attempt which was taken care by the government. 380 fishermen were being housed and they were given proper treatment, food, and everything. They are happy there. So there are some exceptions here who they want to try their luck out to reach to their respective destination. But as of now, we are expecting post May 3rd the kind of activities that can kickstart in each and every state. Since this not only pertains to the state of Tamil Nadu, migrant population people have to travel through a couple of states and they have to reach to the destination. You have to give them a safe passage. That's what the government is waiting for. We hope that there is a policy or there is a modus operandi which will be worked out by the central government in this regard, so that these people can be safely sent back. Whoever wants to go back, they can be safely sent back. And whatever other initiatives here and there that is taken by the respective governments, we are far ahead them, because the migrant population are ensured that their stay and accommodation and food is taken care.
ओके मैं आलोक अवस्थी जी के पास वापस जाना चाहूँगी. आलोक अवस्थी जी, जो इसके पहले जो कांग्रेस है उन्होंने भी जो बात उठाई कि ऐसा लग रहा है कि जो परमिशन दी जा रही है वो सिर्फ बीजेपी रूल स्टेट्स में, आपस के बीजेपी रूल स्टेट से लोगों को वापस लाने में की जा रही है. क्या आपने हरियाणा से 12,000 माइग्रेंट्स को आप वापस लेके आए हैं? दिल्ली का केस तो अलग था क्योंकि वहाँ बॉर्डर पे इकट्ठा हो गए थे हजारों लोग, तो कुछ वहाँ पे तो ज़रूरी हो गया था कि उनको वहाँ से हटाया जाए और वापस लेके आया जाए. पर क्या पंजाब, राजस्थान, इन स्टेट से भी लोगों को वापस लाया जा रहा है?
तन्वी जी, कांग्रेस के प्रवक्ता को यह भी जरा सा देखना चाहिए कि राजस्थान में कांग्रेस की सरकार है. राजस्थान की कांग्रेस सरकार में उत्तर प्रदेश अपने आप को चली नहीं गई और बच्चों को लेकर के आई है. तो जब उनकी सरकार की सहमति हुई होगी, उन्होंने आग्रह किया था, तभी हम लेकर के आए हैं. और इसमें कोई कांग्रेस और बीजेपी की बात नहीं है, एक समझो आपसी संबंध की बात है, और जो कि दोनों राज्यों ने स्थापित किया और ले आए. इन्होंने, कांग्रेस प्रवक्ता ने एक और बड़ी बात कही कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड के ऊपर इन्होंने बात करी है. देखिए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड क्यों बनाया गया? प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड में कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष भी सदस्य होता है और एक जो है उद्योगपति भी सदस्य होता है, और उसका सर्वाधिकार खाली प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास खर्च के लिए था. जबकि आप जो है इस खर्च को, केयर फंड को, गृह मंत्री, रक्षा मंत्री और वित्त मंत्री के साथ मिलकर खर्च करने की बात है. इस फंड की जिम्मेदारी 13 सदस्य की एक कमेटी एक्सपर्ट की है. वो जो है इसको फंड का हिसाब रखते हैं. नए फंड का जिम्मा 10 लोगों की एडवाइजरी बोर्ड के पास है और 10 रुपया भी आप उस पर दान दे सकते हैं. तो हमने राजनीति नहीं की, हमने किसी राजनीतिक दल को नहीं रखा इसमें, हमने कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष को नहीं रखा, हमने बीजेपी के अध्यक्ष को नहीं रखा. तो सीधी सी बात यह, कांग्रेस आरोप लगाने से पहले अपने गिरेबान में झांक के देख लेना चाहिए कि जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड है वो कांग्रेस का फंड नहीं है, तो कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष उसमें किस दृष्टि से पहले से था।
ओके, मैं सास्मित पात्रा जी जो बीजेडी के हैं, आई वांट टू ब्रिंग हिम इन ऑन दिस कन्वर्सेशन एज वेल. Mr. Patra, help us solve this mystery. This whole ferrying of migrants, bringing them back home, how is this happening? Is it with the approval of the center on a case-to-case basis? Is it simply coordination between two different states?
See, as far as Odisha is concerned, I'm first talking about the solution, then I'll come to the making. Today, in the video conferencing with the Honorable Prime Minister, our Honorable Chief Minister and leader, Shri Naveen Patnaik ji, clearly suggested for preparing a national SOP, a standard operating procedure, which would ensure the smooth movement of stranded persons, including students, workers, pilgrims, patients, professionals, all across the country, so that we can have a consensus about how to go forward with it. That's one point, which is extremely important. Secondly, what we're talking about, how it's happening, I think the best case scenario would be to ask Uttar Pradesh or Rajasthan how they went about it. As far as we are aware, there is no national procedure at the moment or national consensus at the moment about the migration of workers from one place to another. Now, the question that comes out is what can be done? Because I don't want to go into the tutu meme right now of politics. Now it's not the time for it. What are the solutions? What Odisha is doing, what Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik is doing. One, we have started a web portal which is specifically dedicated for the migrant workers. So there are about 5 lakh migrant workers of Odisha all across the country. They have been requested through very extensive communication to kindly register on the COVID web portal that we have, covid19.odisha.gov.in. And you would be very happy to know in the last 48 hours, about 4.86 lakh migrants have actually registered on it, which shows it's working. So therefore, instead of going into the nitty-gritties, why not in 6 days, the lockdown is going to be over, or it's going to be extended is another question. But right now, I believe, A, we need to have a proper database, the way Odisha is doing. Second, we need to have a quarantine system. You see, it's not about only bringing people in. Along with that, if the virus travels, how do we take care of it? Therefore, about 2.27 lakh beds have been prepared in Odisha by the Naveen Patnaik government to ensure that as soon as the migrants reach, as soon as the deadlock breaks, as soon as the transportation system works, they are quarantined for a minimum of 14 days. Now the question will be, if they are quarantined for 14 days, you will take care of their food and their accommodation. What about livelihood? Therefore, an incentive of 2,000 rupees per person is also being provided by the Odisha government. So let's talk solutions. Here we can talk about why is the BJP doing this? The Congress is asking this. Let's not get into it. Now it's not the time for it. So I believe there's a very clear understanding. A, have a database. B, have a national SP that Honorable Chief Minister Naveen ji has asked for. And C, because we are proceeding towards a lockdown opening, what should be the strategy at a national level has to pan out very quickly. With that, we need to have at least 7,000 quarantine medical camps that have been set up. There has to be preparedness at the state borders and within the states when migrants come into their respective districts and blocks and panchayats. How do you really quarantine them? How do you ensure that they do not mingle with their families? So those kind of protocols have to be already established. I think, therefore, now is the time to actually set these protocols, ensure that the national SOP happens with the consensus of the national government. And of course, I would like to, on my behalf of my government, also want to thank the national government, the center, for actually being quite supportive in all of these measures. And I would just like to add one more thing. You know, Honorable Chief Minister Naveen
so let me ask you this question. Yes, Mr. Patra, let me ask you this question because this has also emerged in the conversation so far. That while it's easier to do it with the neighboring states and to bring back people, to ferry them, you know, send buses and bring the migrants back, for far off states, you know, for larger distances, logistically also it's a challenge, which is where center needs to step in, maybe deploy some trains. Would you agree that while it's easier for Odisha also to bring back the migrants from neighboring states, from other places, it is becoming a challenge?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. You know, that is why Shri Naveen Patnaik ji, Honorable CM, has already spoken to his counterparts, the Honorable CM of Gujarat and Honorable CM of Maharashtra yesterday and day before, in order to ensure that there is a clear understanding between the states on how they will be processing the migrants through transportation. And at the same time, as I just started, when I started, I said that Shri Naveen Patnaik ji today in the video conferencing with the other ministers and the Honorable Chief Ministers and the Prime Minister clearly stated the need to have a national SOP. Without a national SOP, standard operating procedure, which is a consensus built across all the states, how is a person who's a migrant of Odisha staying in Kerala going to move across 4 districts? You can bring him by train, you can bring him by bus, but there is a lot of porousness that happens over a period of time. Let's remember one thing. We're not only going to bring back people, there is the fear of the COVID virus. And we already know that how slippery this virus is. So therefore, looking at that, when the doors open and lakhs of migrants will move all across the country, if we do not have a national standard operating procedure agreed by the center and the states, then we'll be looking at a chaos. So let's not do that. What Naveen ji today has said, Naveen Patnaik ji, let's have a national SOP, clear awareness, clear communication, not only between the states, but also with the migrant population in their vernacular language, and we will have success.
Yes, okay. Dr. Hussain, do you want to weigh in on that? That we need a national policy and we need it now. It's been over 5 weeks into this lockdown, and this, the center doesn't seem to be taking this seriously. It's been left up to the states whether you can manage it with your neighboring state, with your friend state or not.
See, that is exactly what I was trying to tell when I was speaking earlier. I completely agree with Sasmit Patra that there should be a national SOP, standard operating procedures, and it is already clearly laid down in the Disaster Management Act of 2005. Everything is laid down. Now the BJP spokesperson was saying something about the relief fund. See, there is something called the Disaster Response Fund which has to be created. This is there in the Act. Why do we need a PM relief fund? Because the disaster management and the mitigation funds will be scrutinized by the CAG. PM CARES will not be scrutinized by the CAG. PM CARES is a trust. It is not a fund. It is not an official fund of the disaster management which has to be created through Disaster Management Act. Now, the 6,000 crores which has already been collected by PM CARES, where has that gone? Why is it that the 5 lakh kits that were ordered in China, they were given for, which was purchased for 275 rupees, was sold to Tamil Nadu at 400 rupees and was sold to central government at 600 rupees. So these are the things which has to be looked in by a body that is already mentioned in the Disaster Management Act. We should have a national plan, which is again mentioned in the Disaster Management Act. We should have state plan. Every state can have a separate plan. Then at the district level, the point is, you can have luxury buses to ferry people from Uttar Pradesh to Gujarat. Why can't the state of Karnataka be, state of Maharashtra be allowed, or state of Rajasthan be allowed? There should be standard operating procedures at the central level. The Prime Minister cannot just come and announce the lockdown. He just cannot come and say that Talia bajo. He cannot come on TV and say that Diya jalo. He just cannot come and make announcements which are very, very symbolic. Okay, you're doing something to get the country together, that's fine. But then what about these migrant workers? What about this unorganized sector? What about with the daily wages? What about when the entire economy is being locked down? What will happen to the poor people? We should have 3 plans, one at the national, the second at the state, and at the district. See, if you don't speak and if you don't remind the Prime Minister that this is what to be done, then I think there's no need for the opposition party to be there in place.
All right, I'm completely out of time. I'm going to thank all of our panelists for joining us. Suffice to say, viewers, while there is a large amount of cooperation and coordination that is going on between centers and states, there is also some politics that's being played here. Some states are managing to bring back their migrants, whichever way they're doing it. We're given to understand with the approval of the central government and central officials. Others say it's impossible because there is no central policy, because interstate movement is not allowed. And how is this happening? But then the same states are actually managing to get back the students from Kota. So why not do the same when it comes to these migrant laborers? A lot of vote bank politics is still going on. People are, accusing and playing games with the rival parties at the cost of these migrant workers. And that's not fair. It's been 5 weeks. If there was a solution, we could have worked this out earlier. What Uttar Pradesh is doing now, what they did with the Delhi migrants 2 weeks ago, they could have done it earlier. Why is it only beginning now, after so many weeks of plight? And why are there still some states who are saying it's not possible? Can the states and center, who are having conversations on a daily basis about coronavirus, not have a conversation and come to a common policy about what to do with migrants who are stuck far away from their home in other states, without a job, without food, without shelter? How difficult is it to just sit across the table and come with one comprehensive policy and resolve this issue? That's what needs to be done by state governments and center without any scope for politics. Quick break, lots more on the other side. The Chinese rapid testing kits will be sent back to China. What happens next? That's the big question. Stay with us. Welcome back. Once again, viewers, we will put the spotlight on rapid testing kits. What should India do next now that ICMR and the government have decided that the two companies in China who had exported rapid testing kits to us and supplied those, and we were banking on these kits for our larger surveillance and testing, those kits are no good. And they will have to be sent back to China. The government and the ICMR made this clear today that after their own investigation, after the testing and investigation carried out by ICMR, it has been shown and proven that these test kits are showing a large amount of variation, and so they will be sent back to China. What does that mean? Should we refrain from rapid testing at all? Simply do it for surveillance? Where should we get it from in that scenario? Are there other options available? In the meantime, do we have enough RT-PCR kits there, or will India have to slow down its testing one more time? Some of the questions that I have for our panelists. Let's say good evening to Dr. Velamani and Dr. Vinay Goyal. But before I go across to you, our experts, I just want to play out the comment that we got from the government today. This is the Joint Health Secretary today speaking about the decision on the rapid testing kits from China. Listen in.
Rapid diagnostic kits have a very limited role to play. We have been highlighting to you, explaining to everyone that they have primarily role in terms of either epidemiological investigation or in terms of surveillance. Subsequent to that, based on duly following a process, जैसे कि मेरे सीनियर कोलीग ने बताया है कि हम लोगों ने पूरा प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हुए टेंडर बुला के रैपिड डायग्नोस्टिक किट्स का जो टेंडर फाइनलाइज किया गया आईसीएमआर के द्वारा, जिसके बारे में उन्होंने डिटेल्ड प्रेस रिलीज इशू की है, वह काफ़ी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी। अगर मैं शॉर्ट में आपको बताना चाहूँ तो उन्होंने टेंडर बुलाया, टेंडर बुलाते टाइम पर जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने सेंसिटिविटी और स्पेसिफिसिटी उसके जितने भी इंटरनेशनल सर्टिफिकेशंस हैं उनको सबमिट किया, जिसके बेसिस पर L1 को टेंडर दिया जाता है। टेंडर देने के बाद जब उन्होंने सप्लाई किया तो उसके बाद जब फील्ड पर उनके बारे में कंप्लेंट आई तो आईसीएमआर ने इमीडिएटली रिएक्ट किया। आप सबकी नॉलेज में है, उसके बेसिस पर रिएक्ट करके उन्होंने उनको कैंसिल भी किया और कोई भी पेमेंट उन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को नहीं दिया गया है। मुख्यतः जो हमें समझने वाली बात है कि हमारा एफर्ट है कि जो भी किट फील्ड में आए, अगर हम उनको लाते हैं तो कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगर हमारे को गलत डेटा देता है और फील्ड में वह उसके हिसाब से काम नहीं करता है तो उसके ऊपर रिक्वायर्ड एक्शन लिया जा चुका है।
Well, let's say good evening to our panelists then, Dr. Velamani and Dr. Vinay Goyal joining us right now. So this is what the government had to tell us. Now, should we interpret it to say maybe rapid testing is not the way to go forward at all? Redesign our testing strategy? What should be the way forward? Dr. Velamani, let's begin with you.
Actually, we made a mistake and we felt that rapid kit is a replacement for a PCR test. It was very clear that it is not a replacement for PCR and it will not correlate with PCR. It is not meant for testing in patients with symptoms or without symptoms. It is meant for without any specificity for a random population. But having said that, entire world knows, the rapid kits are made only in China. 90% of the rapid kits are made only in China. So it has to come from China today or tomorrow. If you buy rapid kits, 90% of them has to come from China. Now, they don't have the sensitivity sufficient enough. It is almost like a kitchen knife versus razor. Kitchen knife cannot be used where razor can be used. So rapid kits and the ELISA kit, the rapid kits versus CLIA kits is what is going to be a factor which will be taking primary role. The rapid kits have to go back, they cannot be utilized. And the ELISA kits and CLIA kits, that is chemiluminescence kits, both of them will have to come from Europe or US. They will not come from Europe and US until Europe and US solve their problem, because manufacturing is not adequate to give it to India. So local governments have said, don't give anything out now. So though the kits are ready and used in Western countries, in India, not a single kit has come. And we are all waiting. Most likely by 15th of May, these ELISA kits and chemiluminescence will come in. Then only we can start studying in the country what percentage of people have got already exposed and what are yet to get exposed. Till that time, it is a guesswork. We have no choice.
In a sense, Dr. Vinay Goyal, would you then say that, you know, this is a setback to our entire testing strategy? And I don't mean by simple, you know, by testing strategy, I don't just mean to say find out if a suspect does have coronavirus or not, but to actually get a larger sense of just what is the extent of the spread, where all has it spread, and what is the intensity. Will this be a setback for us?
So Tanvi, the basic issue right now is the fault in the kits rather than the type of the test that we are doing. So I have repeatedly said before that rapid test itself is not the culprit, because that is going to be required as we go forward. But it is a kind of kit that we imported and the kind of kit that has come out to be defective. In spite of ICMR trying their level best to get the right validation done on them. However, nothing can be perfect. So my reasoning is that we will require all antibody tests to do the surveillance, to do the mass testing, because India cannot keep doing PCR for everybody. We just don't have that kind of infrastructure. We don't have that many labs which can do PCR. So obviously we'll have to rely on surveillance through rapid tests, but we are waiting for a good rapid test to come. I have some understanding that there are good tests being developed in South Korea. There are some companies which are coming up with more sensitive and more specific testing and rapid testing. I think that will be something which will be required for mass to do the surveillance. However, we are waiting for the CLIA test and we are waiting for ELISA test. But again, they require technology, they require machines behind it, they require manpower behind it. So every test has its own pros and cons. So rapid test cannot be replaced by any other test if you want to do mass testing at a level where an ordinary laboratory technician can perform it.
Okay, so now what do we do? You know, it will take some time for the kits that have been ordered elsewhere from other countries, or for us to figure it out within our own country. These have to be sent back. Dr. Velamani, you said, you know, before mid-May, there is not much left to do. Are there any available options? Any other countries who have these available that we can look at?
Actually, I will tell you, sending these kits back is also not that necessary. Let me tell you, the percentage of people it can find out will be lesser. But the ratio of positive, negative, some guessing can be done if these rapid tests are utilized. But if somebody is thinking that this will be parallelly compared with the PCR kit, that is the wrong thing to do. But let me tell you where we are confused. We have not still decided, for a population of 135 crores, how many PCR tests should we do? So that needs to be at least 1% of the Indian population we must do. There is no alternative. 1% at least we must do. 2% is luxury. 3% is just something which we can dream about. But without doing an 1%, which is 1.35 crore, you just cannot understand much about this, and that has to be done before even the antibody test arrive. Antibody test is not going to solve your problem of diagnosis. It is going to come to tell, for the last 5 months, how much have you traveled? how much the virus has already reached and people got exposed to. Then if 90% got exposed and we have only lost too little life, that means we have too much to celebrate. But if only 10-15% got exposed and this much is the lives lost, you will have to lose more lives because it has still not traveled.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So let me then just ask this question: are we also unsure of what our RT-PCR testing strategy or how much of it we are using is because we don't know if we have enough and we are just trying to save up until we can find another option, Dr. Velumani?
I have a worry that there is no projections made by the government and they have not told how much private should do, how much government should do. They have not told states, for your state you have to do 1%. These and all have not been told so far. That means only those who have got positive only as testing aggressively. There are many states where probably the tests are not there or tests are not done. So we need to find out how that 1.35 crore can be done. First, a route at the map. The second thing is to do that many tests. Do we have reagent? Which parties should be looked up? And whether Indian manufacturers can give or the imported can do. That is another thing to be done. And we need to have more laboratories to do. 1.35 crore tests cannot be done by the existing one very fast. We need to do it very fast.
Okay, Dr. Goyal, would you agree with what Dr. Velumani is saying, and also that we need a clearer picture when it comes to the existing test kits, the RT-PCR kits that are being used?
This is a worldwide challenge right now, that the testing kits are much less available than the requirement. And the technology which is gold standard is PCR, no doubt about it. And that is much, much lesser than even the other testing technologies. So having said that, the PCR will remain gold standard. That is something which we have to do. We have to keep finding local manufacturers. We have to encourage our local suppliers to be able to cater to that. I think the only way to go is indigenous. I think the government has to encourage and look into a research for various other forms of testing, which could be the rapid or the CLIA or the ELISA. But yeah, the confirmatory test is PCR, and we need to ramp that up big time. The numbers are right now being tested are very small. We need to test much, much more. But I think more laboratories and more testing kits will help the whole cause.
Okay, so I have one last question, because we've been having a lot of conversation about what to do post May 3rd, and both of you are saying that we are not testing enough right now. Shouldn't we be doing a lot more of that before we actually decide on whether to lift the lockdown, and to what extent, and in which areas?
If you ask me, there has no connection with there is no connection between how many tests to be done and when we should release the unlock the lockdown. It is our preparedness to handle the likely hospital admissions when you unlock. That is the strength. That is what is needed to unlock. Number of tests done could not ever be over before May 3, and it may go even up to June, July. So that is not what one should keep it as. This many tests, then we can unlock. That is not a right logic.
I think.
Okay, I'm completely out of time, so I'm going to leave this here. And always a pleasure. Yes, go ahead, please. Finish your point.
No, it's okay. I mean, I was saying that the locking and unlocking has to depend on the kind of spread that we can see, because invariably we will land up in a place where everybody might be getting exposed. So I think the conscious decision has to be taken by the right body, which is the ICMR and the Health Ministry. I don't think we should rush into opening up. And this has been a big disaster in many countries which opened up, and too many people suffered because of that. I would leave this conversation at this point that we should be very conscious by taking our call on this.
Yes, and there are lots of things to consider. For example, one thing that's puzzled us quite a bit is that 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, Maharashtra had 4 green zones and about 12 red zones, and 10 days after that, by 26 April, the green zones had halved and the red zones had gone up to and 5 or 6 more red zones were there. Now that's to my mind a little strange, because we've been in a state of lockdown since the 24th. People are not being allowed to move at all, and if the number of cases and number of danger zones are actually going up, then there is a need to further investigate this before we actually come up with a strategy for entire Maharashtra and similarly for entire country. This is just one example. I'm going to thank our panelists right now, but viewers, with a setback as far as the rapid testing kits is concerned, the Chinese kits that we had ordered and are of no use to us anymore and have to be sent back, we need to relook at the entire testing strategy, and this will have an impact on how we are going about finding the extent of infection. This will have an impact on the number of people that get tested. This will have an impact on our information database of just what is the extent of spread out there. Until unless we are clear about this, we will have to wait and watch before we take a decision on the lockdown. So one can only hope that in the next 1 week we get more clarity before we bring in any kind of relief in our country, even if it is for economic reasons. Completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.